Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining this afternoon. Uh, I want to basically express my thanks to all the students who have joined there, plus extend my thanks to principal and all the faculty community uh, to just giving me the opportunity to talk to the people, people like me who used to work in this college. Uh, this presentation I'll talk about what is the exact intention of having this presentation. But before that, let me give you a quick background of a quick introduction of mine. uh, uh, you know I'm obviously, you might be knowing about my name. So I'm Umkar Joshi. uh, I'm a technical solution architect, work for Mastech. I have almost a decade of experience in variety of industries in software industry. And I'm based out of UK right now, and obviously I belong to RMCT, where I studied for 3 years, and basically passed out in 2011 batch. Just to basically give you a background of who I am, and uh, what I what batch I used to be. So I was a part of 2011 computer engineering batch. Most of the faculty, is around here. You know, those were the teachers who taught me all the lessons. Because of that, I'm here. That was all about my introduction. I want to set a context of this meeting before we jump into specific details. The idea to have this meeting is, I think almost a couple of weeks back, I had a chat with honorable principal sir. uh, I obviously have a special connect with him because I basically used to interact with him a lot while he was a HOD of mechanical engineering. uh, and while we are talking about that, basically I expressed my feeling about talking to RMCT, basically a faculty member plus the students who are actually working maybe a last year or third year of engineering. And the the talk which I was planning in my mind is to basically the questions which used to arise in my mind when I was in college. Uh, there are a lot of questions which used to come in my mind. How basically how things work, whether I'm whether I'm whatever I'm doing right now is going to be aligned to the industry or not. Whatever I will do, will that be uh, will that be recognized by an industry or not? So all those questionnaire, I think you must be also having in your mind. But uh, then I realized it's too much pressure when we carry that questions in our mind, and just to relax ourselves and finding out what exact is the requirement from the industry, and basically try to align ourselves to that industry trend. uh, so that is the overall intention of having this initial meeting, or maybe a presentation. I think we will obviously go, going forward, whenever we'll have uh, more sessions, if you plan any, then definitely we'll talk about what exact interest of different people are, and what exact current industry trends, and where exactly we need to be aligned with, what exact trainings are required to basically align ourselves to get more jobs, and to do some fruitful work in the software industry world. So that is overall about a context setting of this meeting. I'll obviously, I have a full agenda with me where we'll go into specific details, and we can also talk about whether you have any specific interest, any queries you might come up with. We'll take it up post this meeting. Uh, so I'm just moving on to the specific details. But before that, let me give you a quick overview of how my life used to be in RMCT. Uh, I don't think so that that must have been different for you guys, because uh, college days, hostel life, it's a different experience, and so I'm one of that guy who's like a local guy from Mumbai, traveled to Ratnagiri College. For me, it was a it was a long journey. after my entire education. So I never traveled so long uh, for my education, to be honest. So it was difficult time for me, but all the faculty members and all the staff is so friendly, and they made me, basically, feel like a home in RMCT. Uh, uh, but I'll talk about specifically what exact pattern which I really liked in RMCT, which is a differentiator. If you talk about other colleges, if you compare with other colleges, you will not find that very easily. Is a connect at a lower level. So all the staff, they are not only doing their job, they are actually getting into more closer into your day-to-day life, and trying to basically make yourself enriched in a way that you are creating a value to a society whenever you will come out of the college. And that is very important thing. It's not very easy for a teacher to go beyond his role, and trying to give more to the society. That I think nobody will say that explicitly, but that thing I personally realized, and I should be saying that explicitly. So that was the time. And right now I'm in UK. I'm here from last 4 years. uh, all of those fruitful effort which all the teachers had kindly put together, that basically nurtured out whenever all your experience come out, and you become a person, a responsible person later on. So I want to talk about, you are in a special organization or institution. You should not be thinking about whether I should be in a college or something like that. It's a very important thing. You are in the RMCT, and you're getting a very important and a decent qualification, which will be definitely recognized in industry. uh, so starting it as a local and reaching it to a level, after having almost a decade of experience, uh, I realized that all of that effort, obviously there is a personal effort, but the kind of energy which was put by teachers, uh, and all the different technologies and whatever time we have put together, and it is coming together after a decade. So I realized, I have to basically express that, and make you aware that you should not be thinking other way around. It's a very important organization you are with now, and you will be very happy when you'll come out that I learned a lot from this organization, institution. uh, there are a lot of takeaways from that, RMCT, where you have a difficult situations. You should have a exposure to those situations as well. You should not always get a decent life. You should have all the different types of struggle in your life to be able to recognize and sustain as a longer, as an individual, as well as a professional person. So you know I think that's the background which I want to give, which we often don't share explicitly. uh, but then talking about the technologies and all the things which I've learned from RMCT, obviously, all of the teachers like Mushtaq sir, Vishal sir, all of the faculty members, we used to have a lot of discussions around a lot of different subjects we used to have. All of the subjects, people will talk about all those theoretical concepts, go for a ways, there is no practicality in it. It is impossible to memorize all the practical concepts unless you put your full strength to understand the theoretical concepts. So basically, all Mike sir, I want to recognize his effort as well. All of those efforts were not just learning in the detail, which was a mantra which I followed. I mean, it was not a deliberate effort which I put at that time, because you are not at that mature level where you realize the importance of studying in detail. But guys, this is advice which I want to give you, is that study in detail. You might be feeling that that won't be you know uh, as important as studying as practical. But yes, to be honest, after a decade of experience and working with different kind of people, I I sincerely say that it's really important to study in detail. uh, Having a knowledge at a very high level doesn't really give you a benefit as a longer term. You have to understand how thing works. I'll obviously come to a point where how approach, how you to change your approach in terms of your learning. That will not only help you in terms of growing as a professional person, but that will also help you in terms of your day to day life as a personal human being. So that is not, that is all about my RMCT experience. Then then I want to just slightly move to what exactly the technology industry expects. Is it really expecting a scientist to be coming out of the college? Not at all. There's if everybody in the industry is expecting a scientist, there is a sentence we call it as, everybody has got a Mercedes, then who will become a who will become a different, or who will become a mechanic, who will become a driver. So that, not everybody required to have full knowledge. Everybody is not expected to have a tech knowledge. There are variety of different opportunities in the technology industry. uh, Obviously I'm talking into a software industry students. I should be focusing on the software industry part. So from the software industry perspective, industry expectation is very simple. It's 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 changed the way we used to learn our software development. uh, the software is now delivered through agile way. Software is never it's completely changed, where the requirement used to be taken, and the time used to be given as a 1 year or 2 year. And the organizations which are trying to invest in IT, they used to get a benefit after 2 years. So imagine, you are going on a Flipkart and you are buying a mobile, and Flipkart is saying, let me take your order and I'll deliver you after 1 year. So you have a requirement to have a mobile, uh, you know and you want to basically call your mom, and if Flipkart is saying that, I'll deliver your mobile after 1 year, do you see any value there? So it's not. So the important point is to have value, right right after investment, maybe after a small delay, but you want immediate result. Uh, so organizations are changing. I think Vishal sir is asking about, have queries here. Anybody has got any query here? Okay. Yeah. So in case of any queries, you can drop me a line here. Definitely, I will try to reply in between. So that's what, you want a result to be immediate. As a person, individual, when you invest some money, you can't really, expect the a buyer and a seller relationship. Seller cannot say, I'll give you a benefit after a year or so. That doesn't really mean, that doesn't really create a value. So from that perspective, the model of delivery of a software, it changed. I think you're not aware of the delivery, how complex it is, or how easy it is. It's a mixture of both, basically. A software delivery is nothing but, developing a software and taking a requirement, basically, to all the way delivering it to a system where business will see an impact. Uh, so, like I take an example of, you are getting a mobile. So, right from placing an order to right from delivering it to your doorstep, and then you insert a SIM and start calling. That's the value. So the value in terms of software delivery used to be a longer. And now technology industry doesn't expect that to be a longer. So there are different techniques, practices which are evolved. And obviously, as an individual, as a software, industry entrants, we have to be aligned to that, to make sure that, these patterns are changed, these processes are changed. How I can be aligned to those patterns, so that I will be a part of the same journey rather than becoming a different part of, so you'll stand in a queue where nobody is actually, serving anything. You have to stand in a queue where there is a food which is getting served. So you have to be very careful here. So that's the reason, to have this session. So the practice is nothing but agile. So agile is nothing but, giving a value, and have a there's a specific step which I call it as, uh, you take a requirement, write a code, deploy that, fail for that code, and then repeat this cycle. So if you talk about all these bigger organizations, Facebook, Google, all these WhatsApp, they almost release every small fix almost every day into production system. And that how it is possible is a complete different trend and terminology, which I'll explain you later. But the value of that particular problem is getting delivered within a shorter period of time. And when the value is created, maybe there will be some issues in the value, but still the value is tried to be given. And if there is any failure, that will follow the same cycle unless that problem is completely resolved. So that's how the benefit of that problem statement can be will follow that agility of taking that ownership and quickly rolling out our entire process. So and while we say taking a requirement to all the way to production, there is not only a technology specific role, there are various amount of role, and it's not possible only by a single person. A lot of people say that there are cuts in the job and a lot of things. It's not possible because to write a AI model also require a person. You cannot basically throw out the human power and human intelligence. So all these processes are required different kind of people and different types of role, which we have to fulfill as a software industry entrants. And that's how the agility is going to be in the next future, next almost a decade. All the different organizations will be focusing on this particular trend. So the thumb rule is basically demand versus supply. uh, what is the demand? Demand is nothing but who will be the person who can learn quick, and who is passionate about his work. uh, Now, obviously, this is very important question, because what happens when we join engineering college? Most of the time, we join just because my building friend or my the colleague has joined. So it should not be like that. It should be a passion. You should have some passion, some or other fashion. You can't say I have to be. I'm here just to get a degree. That won't work in terms of getting successful in this industry. And obviously a successful definition is a person specific definition. But to be, if I say successful is nothing but you have to be confident in what you're doing, and you're creating a value to a business. So in terms of that definition, if you want to join this journey, you have to find out what exact my passion is, and why I joined basically this institution. What value I'm going to what value I have to get outside when I'll come out of this engineering college. What kind of feature I will have, that particular feature will basically create a value or a difference in me, so that somebody will get attracted for me. So that is not a difficult thing. It's an evolving process. It's not a overnight process. That's why you have 4 years of engineering course. You have to develop those skills which is aligned to industry. And industry expectation I already explained. The all the way of agility, and that agility leads to a digital transformation. uh, Now you must have heard about digital transformation. In a simple word, I call it as anything which is a zero or one is called as digital. And what do you mean by zero or one is trying to solve a manual problem into an automated way is nothing but a digital thing. So that's what the IT industry all about. So it's not so all these terminologies and a lot of different naming conventions. In our college days, used to get confused. What is this digital transformation all about? It's not nothing else. You have to simply remember, okay, there is a manual problem here. I'm going to automate that thing. Whenever I'll automate that, it will be a transformation of that manual problem into automation. When I say automation, it's a IT. Whenever I say it is a logical thing. You can't see it, so it's a digital. So this is the digital transformation journey which I'm going to help one or other organization to basically solve their existing manual problem into automation. Now automation plus agility works all in conjunction, because to say basically I have to deploy and give a value in a shorter period of time, you need to avoid manual errors. So let's take a simple example of, let's say, a manufacturing of a product. When you manufacture a product and you deliver it to a consumer market, If you take a linear way of iterating and taking that product, it is going to take some time. There will be a human effort to make sure that everything is correct, whether the product which is came out of that machine is up to the mark, it has quality standards and everything. Now when you say you have to give a value as soon as possible, you need to have a lot of automation in place in between. Now that automation is nothing but transformation of existing problems at every step. So a problem start from X and deliver it to Y. There are a lot of different checkpoints which you want to make, and all of the checkpoints you have to basically transform. So that's all about agility and digital transformation. Now this entire thing is possible. Agility is a software practice, but in the software development way, it is also called as a DevOps model. Now what do you mean by DevOps is nothing but there is some requirement which is developed, and you want to make it operational, and when you want to mix it together, it's called as DevOps. So all the development of a software code and delivering it to a production system and make it operational, always available, and there should not be any business critical disaster should happen. So then entire operationality of that entire application or software is nothing but, and that comes closer because of the agility, and that's nothing but DevOps. Now all these three different things means the same thing. It's agile, becoming more aligned, giving a value to a customer. Whatever different problems we are going to have, uh, are basically against those. So whenever you'll come and join this industry, you will be given a problem, and that problem you have to just think about based on your skill, apply your a thought process, and come up with the approach how basically I'm going to solve that problem. So there is nothing which is complex in this industry. It is very demand versus supply logic which we have to fulfill, and all the different jargons, all the technical lot of complexities which are there in your mouth, mind, you have to throw away and think about, okay, I will be able to do that, what exact steps are required, and then we are going to talk about those steps. Now when I say a technology industry expectation, uh, we already covered agility and everything. Now these expectation, what we have to align. Now there's nothing rocket science here. What we have to align is basically planning our day, planning our life, planning ourselves as an individual better, so that if you are passionate, then all these things are possible. Like I said, it's not possible overnight. You have to put your effort, and don't think that you're in final year and it's too late. Whenever you will start, it's a starting point. You should not be thinking like, I have wasted my entire 4 years. Somebody might think that. I used to think that in the same way, but it's not too late. It's always a start. It's always a starting point. Whenever you start, that's the important point. So what exact what exact efforts are required? Effort is nothing but changing your mindset. Don't just jump on the conclusion. I know, a lot of people, you must have be deputed on some project work in your final year. Now definitely I also, while I was in college, I was having my project. uh, Vishal sir was my basically coordinator for that project. He helped me a lot in terms of thought process, and that's where the difference is. Whenever a problem is given to you, you should apply a thought process there. Let me give you a background here. No problem can be solved without a thought process, and if it is solved without a thought process, it's not sustainable for longer time. uh, the problem is very simple. If you take a simple example of examination, you study hard, you can crack 40 marks, and you'll get over the line of your examination. But isn't that sustainable thing? uh, is it going to be really going to benefit in terms of any ad hoc questions are asked straight after the exam? Are you really going to answer those? Are you really going to study in a detail, like, for example, if somebody asks you about your hobbies, you are very confident about replying to that, I like this, or something like that. But it doesn't really happen in your software industry. It should happen in that way. So the way you treat your hobbies, the way you treat your close friends, the same way you have to treat your subjects and your all your curriculum. The way, and the all this curriculum, you bring it closer to you. It's going to give you a value in the longer term. Now that's what I was trying to say. The expectation versus effort. Now efforts are, plan your day, what you do on a particular day. Just go back and sit down and, think about, okay, what exactly I'm doing here. All of these subjects I'm trying to pass, but when I will crack on with these subjects, what, uh, from this day, from the day when you're starting up, think about, whatever you are going to put as a subject in front of, whenever you're going to start any subject for studying, you have to think about, okay, once I'm going to study a single chapter within this subject, I'm going to basically study in detail, trying to understand, relate your entire chapter with a real life problem. So you have to basically, the more knowledge, you gain, and the knowledge is sustainable, and it will be with you for longer time, it's reliable with you. It's only possible when you relate with your real life problems. So a simple example could be like, you're trying to create a, I think some of you might have creating a problem, projects in your final year. All those projects, you might be, you have some specific problem statement, try to relate that with a real life problem. A real life problem could be automation of a particular, a statement which is going to create an impact for a larger society. So all those, problem think, it's approach, it's approach change, it's not going to be a effort. All those, when you change this approach, automatically all your efforts will go into a right direction, and your thought process will change. You will come up with the right thought process. That's what is required for software industry. Skills and other things are part of that, and skills can be, trained, and you will get that over the period of time, because the way the software industry is going to change. uh, I think it's buffering. Are you able to hear me okay now, or? Okay, 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 no problem. Yeah. So we are connected back. So that's all about, approach change, and it just, start thinking about any assignment which is given to me. uh, Try to think about, okay, I have to create a value in this assignment. What a value I can create, what learnings I'm going to get out of this. Every small concept which you are going to learn is going to really benefit you in your longer term. So please, bear in mind that you have to learn all these concepts. Don't get confused about, I have to learn all these concepts overnight. You'll have your own digestion capacity. Don't be overstretched, don't get confused. You have to digest slowly, apply that to your physical and mind, change your mindset that, whatever I learn in my capacity, based on my, physical strength, mental strength, I will basically apply that. I will start learning all those concepts slowly, steadily, based on my, capacity. and then I'll get to up to speed. Once you get up to speed, maybe you'll see the difference within 3 to 4 months, that yes, I'm able to adopt myself. And this approach will be recognized definitely when you will get into industry. Now, if you take a simple example of a building, when you try to build a building, uh, the labor who is actually going to put down all the bricks together and apply a cement work, the techniques of all that will change based on new different things getting evolved in the civil engineering industry. But the important part is designing of your entire building, and applying thought process, making future proof building, having rainwater harvesting, making sure that there is a earthquake support, all those. This is the approach which will always be there, and that will be there for you, with you for longer time. So that will create a leader out of you, and you'll not see, you'll will recognize it way later. And this is the starting point where you have to start. So don't get confused. Take your time. Just spend some time to change your approach, and obviously you will there. And different people will have a different pace, so don't be a judgmental person. And the colleague, the friends you have to be supportive basically, and try to push other colleague, other friends, to be a successful person. You're working as a team, try to be as a team, and you'll obviously get a benefit. Uh, now these are all basically efforts. The only effort which I want to stretch about is the innovation, which we definitely, in our in all our colleges, a lot of teachers are trying to push people to basically come out, with some innovation. Innovation is not a simple thing. Innovation can only be possible if you have tried multiple things, you have seen multiple failures. And when you see multiple failures, you basically try to innovate something to overcome all those failures. Now, obviously, I talked about this approach. When the journey of this approach will be like, when you will change this approach to basically start spending maybe a hour or so apart from your subject, trying to learn something new every hour, or every at least twice a week. You have to spend at least 1 hour as a different, suppose from a different curriculum. You have to spend 1 hour as a dedicated time to learn something new. It could be a hardware thing, it could be a new software thing, it could be a software trend, it could be a software architecture, it could be a small programming language. All those things will help you to evolve as a person. Now, when you start doing that in the longer term, obviously, you'll fail in different aspects. So you'll try to implement something, you'll fail, and you'll try to overcome that problem. So that repetitive cycle will eventually will allow you to innovate with something which you will not be able to plot right now. So you will not be able to recognize what I can innovate. Innovate is only possible if you try to take a problem, apply a thought process on it, have your approach, repeat that cycle. And when you will repeat that cycle, this outcome which will come out as a part of that result, you will recognize that as an innovation, because you don't know what you have done. And you were actually in a chase of trying to solve that problem. And when you have that passion, obviously the innovation will come out automatically. So innovation has to be basically a part of our a life, because if you try to innovate, then only the new things will come. And you are part of the new society which is going to be joining IT industry. And the people like me in the 10 years of experience, whatever we'll try to evaluate, we have some mindset in our mind. Obviously we are trying to throw away that mindset and apply a new logic. But as a fresher, you have a huge advantage, that you don't have a previous background, or you don't have a previous mindset about anything, that will allow you to think out of the box. And that is nothing but you have to explore. And I'm sure that definitely one of your colleague will innovate with something, and then a lot of other people will get inspired by that. So that is another advice which you want to give. Nothing can happen overnight. It's an effort which you will put together. Obviously the results will come out slowly, but eventually you will be successful. So that is all about expectation versus effort. But I want to touch base on the point which I've just raised, is about design. uh, I think a lot of you people, people are putting a lot of effort to complete their final year projects. Now, I think the same happened with me. I have given a problem statement I was trying to resolve through a technology. Now we think that the technology is the complete thing about entire software development. uh, I have a different definition of that. Technology is one of the important thing, but it's not all about that. It's about design first. It's about thinking of making an ecosystem which is going to be sustainable for years. So when you create, when WhatsApp was created, let's take an example of WhatsApp. When WhatsApp was created, it was not like, just let's create some project with some technology and it will be successful. It is there from last 10 to 15 years. It's only because that the problem and the technology which was chosen was based on the design which they have put together. Now design is mostly, the thing which gets unnoticed and which is not recognized. Being a software architect, I take that responsibility. I know that, what importance of a design is. You can't make a building, a civil building basically, without a, architecture. When you start with the building with anything, you will spend your entire days and, months to build any, some architecture which is not going to be useful for the business which is going to run that building. So that is very important. Design aspect is absolutely important while you are designing a software. Now whenever you are given a project, obviously you are with your limited knowledge. When you will add your approach which I just said and evolve, your design capability will evolve automatically. Whatever you will apply, you should not be saying, okay, I have this project, let me implement through Python or Java or whatever it is. uh, those all are communication mediums. Those are, the way I treat that is a language which human is trying to interact with the system. Those are all our high level language where you're trying to say, okay, I want to do something like this. And there is a assembler which actually converting internally and saying that, okay, I understand what needs to be done. So this is a communication medium, and that comes as a part of the implementation. The example which I've taken of a building, the the person who is putting a bricks together can be replaced with some other person with the training of, putting a bricks together. So it's a very simple job, although it's a complex one, but it's still a straightforward job. When you train a person, it's just, you have to follow that instruction. But think about the approach which WhatsApp has put together, and that's the reason they are sustainable and they are there in the market from last 15 years. So the design is very important aspect. And as soon as, when you change this approach and when you start putting your effort in design, obviously when you join the industry, you will be a differentiator. Because I absolutely know that, a lot of people which I met, I take interviews, those people are lagging behind and they only concerned about the technology. And obviously there is a technology element there, but you have to concentrate about what value, what design I have to put together, which will make this entire implementation sustainable value and, a powerful robust, which I can say. So design first is approach which you will learn as soon as you change your approach, and I'm sure that you will apply that in your real life as well. So design will only not help you in your professional life. If you are, a very person who has got a very, instinctive person, like, you take a decision in a hurry. When you apply this approach in your real life, what you will do in your life as well, whenever a situation will come, you will take a step back, digest that problem, understand what exactly you have to, react in the situation, and then you will become a better person in your real life as well. So whatever you will do in your software industry as a improvement in yourself will also benefit you in professional as well as a personal life. So that's the other advantage you will automatically get when you change your mindset. So coming back to a mindset, and that's where that's the crust of entire, meeting is. The mindset is very important here. Now, you know I'll quickly go on industry and technologies, which I think you must be thinking about, when he's going to touch base on the industry and technology. uh, the main thing about, being the software industry is, like I said, there's a problem which you are trying to solve. And the problem is not because, from the single industry. The problem is across all the industries. The industries are retail, fintech. Fintech is financial services, uh, life sciences. All different types of industries are looking out to try to solve their problem. So all those problems can only be solved if you have a decent knowledge about how that domain works. Now, like I said, when you are getting into this college, you should not be always thinking about, okay, I will become a software engineer when I will come out of this college. Should not be thinking about that. What you have to think is, I will become a professional, software professional who understands how to develop a software, how to take a requirement, and how to deliver that software. Now you will be part of any of that journey, and you will excel in that, any of the step in that journey. You should not be thinking about, I will write a code. Most of us, I used to think that, what I have to do, I need to write a code, although it was my passion. But do I only need to write a code? Like I said, there are a lot of different various roles available in the market, which are as equal as writing a code. Now, all those problems can only be solved if you have a knowledge about that industry. So, along with whatever you are doing in terms of technical thing, learning languages, learning distributed systems, multimedia systems, all those things, absolutely, you have to learn those. Along with that, you have to pick your industry, whatever you like. It might not be, the industry where you will land up after your college. It can be any industry to start with. You have to understand what financial services problems are. You can google it out. Not every answer will be with our teachers. You have to find out what are different problems available in the market, how I will apply my logic, and I'll try to solve a problem. Along with your projects, whatever you're doing, you should be thinking about real life problems, and that is nothing but it should be aligned to the industries which we are catering to. So you should be thinking about that. For example, a retail sector problem where for example, if you place an order on, let's say, a Flipkart, how that item can be tracked in real time. Now, there are different technologies and trends in the market by which you can achieve that. But the problem with small scale industries is that they don't have a budget to basically implement that IT problem. And a lot of small companies, there could be a small retailer based out of Devruk who wants to sell their good on website and earn a profit out of that. But along with that, they want to basically implement all these features. Now that is quite possible through different technologies which are in market right now, cloud, where the cost of maintaining the hardware is really cheap. So that is possible, but then you have to relate, okay, how this is the real life problem, and it's going to impact masses when I'll implement a solution for this problem. So this is what the industries are. There are a lot of industries which are trying to solve their problem. You can get into a different roles into that. I'll talk about the roles slightly late, after this, is what different roles are available. And you should not be worried about whenever I will be passed out, I have to write a code or not. Don't worry, you don't need to only write a code. If you have a passion, follow that passion. If you have a passion about communication, follow that passion. uh, what industry is expecting, and what mantra which I want to give it to you guys is that, observability. You have to observe the things which are happening in your real life and apply your thought process again and again to solve and optimize that problem until there is no further improvement. So that's how you have to apply that logic. And the mantra is, whenever a problem is given to you, you have to think about why. You should not take that problem and go away and start implementing that problem. The design thinking says that, why I'm going to solve that problem. If there is no benefit of solving that problem, that's not a problem. If you are if you have a problem and you are going to give, it is going to solve a financial or manual or physical, a relief to somebody, some organization, some individual person, then that's a real life problem which you want to solve. So you have to think about, whenever some problem is thrown out of your way, you have to think about, okay, this is the problem, why I'm trying to solve this problem, what are the existing issues, and how I'm going to resolve that problem. When you ask these three questions for a problem, for whatever you are going to study in distributed system, whatever you are going to study in every single subject, you will learn that as a lifelong experience. Because when you learn with the real life problem and why, what and how principle, nothing, you can't forget that. You have to it will obviously always there in your mind. Let's say, I'm an interviewer, I'll throw that question to you. You will not only explain me in a greater detail, but it will also help you to, when you know this why and what, you will create an impact because you know exactly what you want to solve. So that is how, you have to remember this mantra lifelong. As a, that's what I always applied from all the way from college days till all the way where I am right now. So that's how you have to, solve any problem. Now, uh, I've talked about industry. I'll quickly touch base upon the, the technologies. Technologies are a variety of technologies. I'm not talking about programming languages. I'm talking about the trends which are going on in the market. The trends are nothing but, starting from a cloud. Cloud is a base of everything. You have to study cloud in detail. What are the different types of models available? What exactly cloud is going to give a benefit? Now, cloud is the base of anything because it's going to be a physical infrastructure which is allowing you to do a lot of things. Now, when you take a cloud as a base, you have to remember all these different trends again, not as a technical jargons, as a problem solver of why these trends are into picture now, why cloud is there. Whenever we'll, complete this session, you have to go back and find out why cloud is exist. There's no technology or trend exists without a reason. The reason is very simple. There is a huge cost which used to get spent. And if you consolidate entire infrastructure of all the companies together and share that cost, you will obviously, make your life cheap, by not basically spending a huge operating cost. You basically pay for what you are using. So that's how the high level definition of a cloud is. And you have to think about every single, different trends which are in the market, like cloud, machine learning, AI, blockchain, or anything like that, or maybe IoT. All those things are there because there is some reason, which somebody has faced during their, implementation. So you want the example which I've taken, IoT is nothing but any connected internet connected device which is trying to communicate and, basically trying to pass the health of that, or maybe information which can be then, churned out, and the reactive, in the decision can be taken. So that is very important because, you are at a remote place, some IoT device is installed, and that device is feeding back with a lot of information. That information where humans cannot reach can give you a, a lot of benefits. So all things, you when you will try to relate with the real life problems, there will be, you will find the answers, you will remember those concepts lifelong. And any new trend will come because, the trends will obviously come in the market, very fast. You have to learn, apply this theory again and again, remember that thing. Your papers, your examination will be very simple. You have to express your feelings about what, how, and, why it exists. Whenever the question is thrown to you, you have to just express that feeling. And, just think about your examination will become as simple as, giving answer to an interviewer. So that's how all the benefits will come together when you will change your mindset. uh, I'll just now, go into a next important thing is about roles. Now, roles are, like I said, there are different industries, there are different roles. When you take a requirement, when you deliver it as, as a DevOps process into production, the requirement taker is a business analyst who understands the, requirement, analyze that requirement, and, create a requirement document who says, okay, this is what needs to be done. In agility, it's called as user story. And that user story is then taken up by a designer, then implemented as a, solution. Then some developer will implement that can be tested, and then it will be delivered as a value. Now, along with these all journeys, I just touched based upon the very high level roles. There are plenty of roles available in the market. Now, if I take a software development journey right from the requirement all the way to, basically, naturalize the requirement right into a normalized way, basically convert that document into a design document, designer, technical designer, solution designer. You can have a, designer like me who is a solution and technical both, where you have a blended combination. You have a developers have variety of technologies to implement with, who has got, chief architects, enterprise architects. Then, absolutely top to bottom there are different types of roles. So all of these roles doesn't really need to be a technical role. The developer and solution architect, absolutely they require to be a technical person because they don't know, if they don't know the technology, how they can, give a value and, create a sustainable solution. Now, if you talk about business analyst all the way to project manager to, a scrum master, the scrum master is a special role. is in agile way of implementation, who's driving the entire project. All those different types of roles doesn't really require any technical knowledge there. There are plenty of opportunities there. If you talk about business analyst, you need to be learning about the domains, what different domains are there, what exact business problem I'm going to solve. So you can go into that industry. Not you don't need to necessarily need to go into a tech industry. So I know a lot of people in the college have a nausea in their mind. Oh, how I will survive. I don't know about any technology. You don't need to. And not necessarily everybody will have that particular thought process. Don't change your thought process. It's not wrong. It's everything is as equal as the other thing. Technology, project management, all these are really important roles in software entire delivery. If developer is doing a great job, if project management is not doing a great job, if architecting is not doing the great job, the project entire problem statement will not be solved as a a proper solution. So everybody at their role needs to come together as a as a solid in their role they are playing, and that will come and that will create a value. So don't get into another shoe and then try to realize that after 4 to 5 years that oh sorry, I would have I really tried something else. I'm into a wrong thing now. Think about it. Just go back to your desk, realize, go back to your rooms and apply your logic. Where my strength is, what are my weaknesses, what are my strengths. Do I need to be really in the software development industry? Do I need to be actually a coder? uh, can I be a very good communicator and exploit that? It's not something that if you're thinking that I'm good communicator, you have to basically explore that and then basically work on that strength to improve that better and better over over the period of time. So uh, all your strengths, understanding those at the right time are important, because you realize after a long time your strength, obviously it won't be late for that, but the thing is that you can create a value to a society way early than what you are going to do. So the important point here is that go back, understand what exact role I want to play, how I can be a successful person. Nobody in software industry are going to force you to become a software professional and a coder. To start with, in Indian IT industry, everybody expects that a developer, a logical thinking is required. I absolutely endorse that fact. In all of the roles, which I've talked about, if you don't have a logical approach or a practical thinking approach towards this, and then it becomes difficult for you to solve a problem. So that's where your analytical skill needs to be improved. You have to start asking more questions to teachers. You have to start asking your questions to yourself, that what I'm doing, whatever program you'll write going forward, you have to think about, is there any scope of improvement which I can apply to this. So you have to work in that aspect. So the although I said that the programming is not necessarily day one requirement and not everybody will have a knowledge about programming, but it is a part of your curriculum which is going to improve your analytical skills. So take that as as a learning curve to improve your thought process, improve your logical thinking, improve your just as a person applying that logic. Programming actually helps you to apply your logic in a real life, in a personal life. So it's not only a benefit of professional. You can apply that everywhere. You'll see that benefit. So that is where the different types of roles available in the market, and you should not hesitate. And whenever you want to explore any role and you're getting confused, you can talk to me anytime. uh, Now I think that's actually it from my presentation. That's what I was trying to cover in this presentation. I'll obviously take out any other questions after this. But like I said, I've given you my introduction about I'm a technical solution architect. I work from top to bottom and creating a return on investment project. So, for example, a company is investing, let's say, 1 million pound of money in IT, software. My job is to give a value and create a return on investment on that solution. And my job is to create a solution which can be sustainable based on the IT journey of that company. So it's a very important and responsible job. So I worked on various different technologies, frameworks, industries. So I worked on financial services, retail, government, healthcare, all these domains. So all different industries are having their different expectations and their different regulatory and all other requirements. So you are open to ask any question. Although I'm not a leader, or I'm not a a guru here, which is going to basically solve any problem of yours. Uh, Anything which I will solve, I'll try to explain that, or answer over here. But if I have anything which I should be taking out after this, I'll take that offline, and I'll feedback to you over the email or something like that. We can finalize, how you want me to respond to your queries. But that's how we will talk together. But you are open to talk to me in terms of any technology or software industry trend which you want to explore, and we can plan any next further session to talk about DevOps technologies. I could give you a problem statement which we will solve, and outcome of that is very very important, and you'll realize the benefit. So we can take based on your favorite topics of your complete department, what exact next topic you want to have with me, and then we can talk, take it up from there. But that's it from my presentation, and you can basically ask any question, and I hope you find it useful. uh, the question is basically asked about what is DevOps in short. Uh, Now, like I explained, development and operation. You don't need to relate that with the actual medical operation. It's operations is nothing but the system which is operating day to day to solve to create a business value. Now, Dev and Ops are currently in the software development life cycle. Old principle are disjointed. So, for example, right now, when the software gets developed, you know, it takes amount of effort to, it takes almost years or months of time to deploy that and make it operational. Now, all this journey, like I said, creates a value way after the business importance is required. So business wants that value to be created maybe within a month, and you are creating a value after 9 months, which is actually not aligned to a business objective. So what is business? Business is nothing but the industry which I said. All these industries are, for example, I'm a business. I want to launch my website, and I walked up to computer department of RMCT, and I said, can you develop my website? And you guys have said, it's going to take 1 year to create that website. Is that going to be a a valid answer? So that's how the existing model is. Now, what is DevOps? Dev and Ops, if they come together and work closely, we can have a repeated failure but value minimum viable product deployments. So what is minimum viable product? Minimum viable is, it is not a full product, it is part of the product, but it is going to create a value. So like I explained, the problem I have given to you as a website, and you are giving me a 1 year. Obviously you will have your own reason why you are giving a 1 year, because you are saying, I have this many peoples, I have this many skills. It is going to take 1 year practically. Now, question you should be asking in agile way or DevOps way to me is that, what exact value you are trying to achieve right now? What is your 2 months objective? And then I'll answer, my objective is, I'm a farmer. I have a lot of plants, which are, lot of different vegetables, which I want to sell it to, all my different consumers. So then why do you need all the comprehensive website? Let's target to that problem statement and create a value. So in the DevOps process, what you will do is, you will break down that problem as an agile user story, and development and operations will work together, work closely to automate the process. So when you want to deliver this many, this much of project in a shorter period of time, all these different elements of that delivery needs to be automated. And if it is only automated, then only dev and ops can come close together to deliver a value. So all these automation will work will go here, and you will give a repeated deployments into a ops phase, and ops will continuously feedback. So it's called as CI/CD. So it's a continuous integration, continuous deployment, and continuous improvement. So you give a continuous deployment, and the feedback is coming from operations saying that this is the fix. Can you fix that? So you are continuously creating a value in a shorter time to a business, like business person like me, and I'm able to sell my products online. And Obviously, after, when that is achieved, you will take another problem, not only farming, you will take another product of mine, you will launch slowly my entire website, and all the categories of the products will be available. So this is nothing but, coming dev and ops processes together and creating a value to a business. I hope I answered that question. Do you have any other question, specifically going to ask? Hello. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll continue on this call because, I'm not able to hear from the other side. Sorry, got disconnected. Hello. I'll be on this call just because, I'll see the other side of the things because I'm just one way right now. So yeah, so, like I explained, I think you might have find this useful. Uh, the important point which I want to again emphasize is its approach. Don't, about having a passionate about what you're doing, and don't get confused about a lot of technical things. It's simple things which are applied. Just because you're not aware of it, you're getting confused, and you should not be confused at this stage. And getting confused is going to have a problem for you, so that's the reason you should be very confident about what you're going to do. And the passionate, the the passionate about the work and the approach, I think obviously will take you to a next step. And I hope, I'm wishing all the best to all the students, and uh, all of the students from BE Computer. I think all the best to you guys, and obviously you can feedback to me for any future session which you want to have. Uh, I think all the best, and be in touch. Uh, my contacts, I'll just share it over here. I have this username on Facebook basically. Uh, I have LinkedIn contact which you can connect over here. Uh, so all these are usernames. You can search it over there, and you can add me there. You can ask any queries. I write a lot of articles on DZone, and a lot of LinkedIn articles where you can express your comments. If you want to learn something, you can go through those articles. Uh, I think that will be useful for you guys. And obviously, not to think about and not to open a unidirectional communication. I want this to be a bi-directional. Uh, you have to come back to me with any of the new things, innovation which you are trying to explore, or anything which you want to talk to me about a new thing which you want to explore, or you want to try something new. You can talk to me. I'll help you in whatever capacity I could. There could be some delays because of my work and geography. So but I'm open to receive any questions and any feedback. Thank you all. I'm just dropping out of the session. If you have any questions or anything like that, you can drop me a line. I'll take it up from there. Thank you.